I'm as big a Jon Jones fan as anybody, and I've always defended he's not afraid of Tom. He's willing to fight anybody. It's hard to not fall into that narrative here, though. You know, like, to me, like, fighting in the White House, like, that doesn't do it. But maybe I'm a different person. You know, maybe everybody looks at it different. For me, like, if you tell me they're going to have a fight at the White House, like, cool, all right. Like, it'd be cool to do it. If not, whatever. Like, a fight's a fight.
I do believe that I'm the best heavyweight in the world. It doesn't mean I can stop and celebrate what I've done. I've got a lot of work to do. I want to be as active as possible moving forward as well. So I'm not just working for the next fight, I'm working for the next 5 fights. And I have been doing that a lot.
Tom Aspinall destroyed Pavlovich, dominated Curtis Blades, but deep down, he knows it's not enough. No Jon Jones, no unification, no legacy-defining moment. And when the UFC handed him the belt, there was no roar, no victory lap, just silence. I wanted to take it from Jones. He said, be the most unfinished heavyweight reign in UFC history.
I'm going to take this. And do you know what Jon Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT. Ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests, go in there?
BACK and not with some quiet comeback in a small arena. After a sudden retirement in June and weeks of eerie silence, the former pound-for-pound king has re-entered the USADA testing pool, hinting at a monster return in 2026. But here's the real headline: he might not just be walking into an octagon. He could be walking into the White House. Say you heard that right. UFC and Dana White are reportedly working with former President Donald Trump on a blockbuster Independence Day card set to go down on July 4th, right in the heart of American power. And what's the rumored main event? Michael Bisping didn't hesitate. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. The suggestion exploded across MMA circles, and when Jones saw it, he fired off just 3 chilling words: this isn't just hype.
That's just crazy, dude. How's that even a thing? Is that allowed? Like, how is Donald even allowed to do that? Be kind of gangster, though. Chandler versus McGregor. Be kind of gangster. Aspinall. Jon Jones wants to fight him. Classic. Back in the testing pool after 2 weeks. Bro is a troll and a half. He's not having his title back. That just can't be happening.
This is legacy versus legitimacy. The interim champ who crushed Pavlovich and battered Blades against the man many still call the greatest to ever do it. One is hunting validation, the other, respect. If this gets signed, it's not just a fight, it's a statement. That alone would have sent shockwaves through the fight world, but Jon Jones wasn't done. Hours after showing interest in the Aspinal showdown, he took things up a level. With a chilling massage, I will make you beg in the octagon. It was the first time in months that Jones publicly targeted Tom Aspinall, and the timing couldn't have been more personal, just as the Brit was starting to accept his place at the
heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC, isn't he? But he's only like hasn't 41. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, you know. I think Jon gets a lot of money for being champion. I think the sponsors are not paying him a fortune, and I think he's just dragging along, keeping the belt as long as possible because it's worth that much money to him. I mean, Jon's often struggled with tall people who are good boxers. I imagine he probably, if he did fight...
Top. The ghost of the true champion returned and spoke. In a recent interview with Adam Catterall, Aspinall laid it all bare. It didn't feel like a fairy tale, he admitted. It felt like closure, not success. Despite steamrolling Pavlovich and shutting down Blades, the belt never fully clicked. Yeah, I was the interim champ, but I wasn't relieved. I just thought, right, that's finished. Now I can really fight, because for Aspinall, true victory was never about just holding the belt. It was about taking it from the man who defined the division.
Sprinter, you take PEDs, you become faster than people who are not taking PEDs, and you win a race. That's okay. You're a cheat, you've won, to take your title off you or whatever, that's fine. If your job is to hurt another person, physically hurt another person, which could potentially redirect the rest of their life post-fighting, you're an absolute piece of shit, and you should never be able to fight again if you have any PED.
From Jon Jones, the undisputed, the unbeaten, the one name that never left his mind, this isn't about gold anymore. This is about proving who's really the baddest man on the planet. But this wasn't just talk from Tom Aspinall, this was action. When Jon Jones pulled out of his long-awaited clash with Stipe Miocic in late 2023 due to injury, it was Aspinall who stepped up on short notice, no hesitation, no excuses. And he didn't just survive, he obliterated the feared Russian knockout. artist, Sergey Pavlovich, in under 2 minutes. Then came Curtis Blades, another top contender. Another dominant performance. Aspinall defended the interim belt like a true champion, not a placeholder, but a problem. Every move he made was about one thing: unification. Jon Jones returned.
I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. I've been watching Jon Jones, as I said.
Handled business against Miocic, and then stalled. The fire to unify cooled. Negotiations dragged. Dana White dropped vague sound bites and half promises. The super fight, the one that had to happen, never materialized. For fans, it wasn't just disappointing, it was deflating. The heavyweight division was split not by skill, but by silence. One man chased legacy, the other seemed content to stand still. Jon Jones's sudden exit last month wasn't just unexpected, it wasn't settling no.
All would have been if we just would have got that fight over with right away. Think of the star Ngannou still would have been for this company if you just would have had that fight and moved it on. And then you have an epic rivalry between those two, Aspinal and Ngannou. Like, the years and years of amazing heavyweight fights could have been happening if Jon Jones just wasn't a petulant child, and if the UFC wasn't just the, oh no, it's fine, he's just finding himself. Like, just so annoying. And
no fight, no farewell, no real statement, just a quiet disappearance. Followed by a formal title handover at a press conference in Baku. No fireworks, no war. Just silent sand for fans who waited years to see the undisputed GOAT put it all on the line. It felt like a gut punch for Tom Aspinall. It was more than just disappointment, it was unfinished business crumbling into dust. He trained, sacrificed, took every risk, and kept the heavyweight division alive while Jones was gone. And just when the moment was building, it ended. UFC veteran Matt Brown called it out. Blunt Lie Brown and many others believe Jones
fighter in MMA or the UFC that you just find absolutely insufferable. Because for me, it's Jon Jones, and there is no close second. Jon Jones defended his heavyweight title against a retired 42-year-old Stipe Miocic back in November. Ever since then, Jon has been saying, what has Tom Aspinall done to deserve to fight me? You know, besides Tom being the interim champ and having a defense with that belt, Jon has just found every possible way to not fight Tom, even
waited until Aspinall had locked in another fight before suddenly reappearing, fresh and ready, across forums, fan pages, and social media. The backlash is growing. One comment nailed the sentiment. Jones retired right after he signed for another fight. Now he's back when Aspinall is unavailable. Funny how that works. This isn't just another title chase. This is about pride. It's about legacy. Jon Jones may be the most gifted fighter we've ever seen.
Is there a fighter in MMA or the UFC that you just find absolutely insufferable? Because for me, it's Jon Jones, and there is no close second. Jon Jones defended his heavyweight title against a retired 42-year-old Stipe Miocic back in November. Ever since then, Jon has been saying, what has Tom Aspinall done to deserve to fight me? You know, besides Tom being the interim champ and having a defense with that belt, Jon has just found every possible way to not fight Tom, even.
But if he walks away without facing the man the fans believe earned his shot, then his throne will always feel a little empty. While Aspinall remains the people's champ, the man who took on all comers, no questions asked, and built a legacy the hard way. One came up the mountain, the other was born on top.
I'll just come out and ask you, do you think he's ducking Tom Aspinall?
No. Jon Jones, I said it a million times, I'll say it again, he's never ducked anybody other than that one goofy time with the Chael Sonnen thing. He's never ducked anybody. And, you know, I think the reality is whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know, you'd have to ask him that, but, you know, he's 38 years old and I don't know.
Do you think if it was someone like Alex Pereira, he would fight them? And it's maybe Tom that he specifically doesn't fancy the matchup, doesn't fancy the age difference?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to these questions. Only he does. You know, we had the fight done. Listen, our job is to make the biggest fights we can make and the fights that the fans want to see. And that's what we try to do. But the minute somebody starts talking about retirement, you know my philosophy on that.
Heavyweight reign in UFC history eclipsed Jon Jones is BACK and not, with some quiet comeback in a small arena. After a sudden retirement in June and weeks of eerie silence, the former pound-for-pound king has re-entered the USADA testing pool, hinting at a monster return in 2026. But here's the real headline: he might not just be walking into an octagon.
Star Aspinall would have been if we just would have got that fight over with right away. Think of the star Ngannou still would have been for this company if you just would have had that fight and moved it on. And then you have an epic rivalry between those two, Aspinall and Ngannou. Like, the years and years of amazing heavyweight fights could have been happening if Jon Jones just wasn't a petulant child, and if the UFC wasn't...
He could be walking into the White House. Say you heard that right. UFC and Dana White are reportedly working with former President Donald Trump on a blockbuster Independence Day card set to go